to get them arguing and not worrying so much about him and his faith.
Yeah, little
So there was,
end around.
eventually there was differences in beliefs.
Yeah,
I don't remember which group thought what.
They weren't even
They're-
able to bury them, they were just swallowed.
yeah, they're kind of like
They were
No,
buried alive.
buried automatic burial.
Is the Sadducees, did they not believe in an afterlife? Or,
I think the Pharisees did
yeah.
believe in the resurrection, and the Sadducees didn't.
But that was later, so that doesn't pertain now.
Right.
Yeah.
That's not till we get to the temple period,
Oh,
once they start
oh.
settling down into
Okay.
the towns. Okay, let's see here.
Probably leave some prime camping spots.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think everybody would want to camp on those spots. Those are probably open for quite a while.
So it's interesting, they take the bronze censers and hammer them out and put them over the altar.
Yeah,
Let's camp where the earth swallowed everyone up.
Yeah.
It's vacant.
seems kind of mushy, I'm not going there. Yeah, so it's in verse 37, tell Eleazar, son of Aaron the priest, to remove the censers from the charred remains and scatter the coals some distance away, for the censers are holy, the censers of the men who sinned at the cost of their lives. So, because of this purification ceremony that God just did, because it was holy fire that came upon these people, came upon the Levites. So this holy fire then made the censers holy, so then they hammered them out and put them on the altar, because they couldn't use them pretty much for anything else. They had to be used for something holy.
Verse 37 made sense to send out a son of Aaron.
Yes,
Aaron, being holy, couldn't even be near anything dead.
right, you're absolutely correct. Because I think it's in chapter 19 and 20, where we get more details about handling the dead. Let's see.
Well, in verse 40, it says, to be a memorial to the children of Israel, that no outsider who is not a descendant of Aaron should come near the altar of incense before the Lord.
There we go.
Or he will become like Korah and his followers. In other words,
Yeah.
whoop, dead.
Must be why I put that in bold in my notes.
So suddenly the censers were holy, beforehand they weren't,
Correct,
and
right.
now,
Because there was God's fire on them.
God's holy fire was burning.
And again, they grumble.
41, they didn't learn anything. The next day, the whole Israelite community grumbled against Moses and Aaron. You have killed the Lord's people. But when the assembly gathered in opposition to Moses in verse 42 and Aaron and turned towards the tent of meeting, suddenly the cloud covered it and the glory of the Lord appeared. God says, enough of this stuff. They're challenging Moses' authority right after God took care of the Levites, and God says, enough of this. So in verse 44, the Lord says to Moses, get away from this assembly so I can put an end to them at once. What does Moses do? Then Moses says
All
to Aaron,
face down again.
yep, take your censer and put incense in it along with burning coals from the altar. And hurry to the assembly and make atonement for them. Now, this is a big deal. Because Moses is taking Aaron's censer, which is the high priest's censer. He's taking coals from the altar and taking it out of the tabernacle. If Moses didn't have God's authority, Aaron would be dead right now. Because he's taking the holy coals and the holy censer out of the tabernacle to these people. So Moses knows this is serious. He's got to do something big so God doesn't wipe out the whole Israelite community again.
he would be rushing into certain death.
Yeah. Yep.
Now, in spite of that, Aaron's been talked to directly from God at least 2 times.
Yeah. I think it was only twice.
Only
that
twice.
God spoke to Aaron. We'll find out in the next couple chapters. I think maybe 3 times. And God's already started a plague. among the people. So the plague is started almost immediately as soon as the cloud came down, and Moses is telling Aaron, you gotta get busy. You gotta do some drastic action. But even though they acted fast, 14,000 people died from the plague that quickly.
We'll put the seed in, that's only men.
True, true.
I'm sorry.
So Jim, when it says he stood between the living and the dead, when Aaron stood between the living and the dead with the atonement, what does that mean?
Okay, where are you at, hon?
Oh, 48.
He stood between the living and the dead. Oh, and the plague stopped. So, I don't know, maybe it came in as a wave,
Hmm.
the plague, and then Moses, or Aaron stood maybe at the edge of the dead people.
Well, I wonder if Aaron ran into the crowd and that's where it stopped.
Could be,
Also.
could be,
Oh, that's a thought.
could be.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a very good point.
No details on the cleanup, hazmat suits or anything.
Well, we know the priest didn't touch them.
But you don't need that in the desert.
Well, at least we gotta get them out of the camp. Cause let's see, are they in the camp?
Yeah, they're still in the
Yeah,
camp.
they're still in the camp.
Yeah, they haven't left.
More open campsites.
That's right.
I don't know if I'd line up to
Yeah.
be there.
So they were in front of the tent of the meeting. So yeah, it was in the camp, so they had to get these bodies out. So then we have a whole bunch of people who are unclean that have to stay out of the camp for 7 days. So a lot of people missed worship. All right, so a lot of problems here in chapter 16. And it doesn't get any better. Number 17, the budding of Aaron's staff. So God is saying, I'm going to show these people another time who I've chosen. So God says to Moses, go to the Israelites, go to the leaders of each of the 12 tribes, and get a staff from them. And have them write the name on their staff so they know whose it is, and then I'll show you who I'm going to choose. And God says in verse 5, the staff belonging to the man I choose will sprout, and I will rid myself of his constant grumbling against you by the Israelites. God's saying, I'm going to show them, hopefully for the last time, who I picked. Right. And Karen's rolling her eyes because she knows the story. There's no such thing as complete redemption for these people, right, Karen?
Right.
Were there 12 staffs or 13?
Let's
One
see.
from
It
each
says
tribe?
12.
12.
Oh.
Aaron's is included
Verse
in
6,
there.
it says.
Yeah, Aaron's is Levi's.
Yeah.
Levi's tribe.
But there's 12 tribes camped around.
Yes.
So let's speak to the Israelites and get 12 staffs from them, one from the leader of each of the ancestral tribes. Write the name on each man of the staff. On the staff of Levi, write Aaron's name, for there must be one staff for the head of each ancestral tribe. So yeah, the Levites were one of the ancestral tribes, so Aaron's staff would have been from the tribe of the Levites.
Even though Joseph had
Right.
2 sons.
But remember, they were split.
Okay.
They split Jacob's share.
I just thought it was so convenient that Aaron's staff budded.
Oh, there's no convenience about it. God did that on purpose.
I almost have to have a little grateful that he doesn't deal with us quite the same way today as back then.
Because
Because,
we
Maybe he
have
doesn't, we just
Yeah.
don't realize it.
because we have an intercessor.
Yeah, right,
Yeah. And Hebrews does a real good, the book of Hebrews does a real good explanation of that. How we no longer need a high priest because our high priest sits at the right hand of the Father. So probably as soon as we do these things, Jesus is probably up there saying, don't do it.
Yeah.
I promised them.
Or how wounded he gets
Pardon?
from all of the intercession he has to do.
Yeah.
Just, gee, man.
Yeah,
If
nonstop.
they hadn't written the name on each of the staff, they would have probably tried to come up with another way of saying, well,
Probably.
that was my staff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we would have to wipe out that person.
And Jesus says to Dad, oh, one more time, please.
I think God knew what he was doing when he sent Jesus down. He's probably saying,
Oh.
oh, you're gonna have so
Oh,
much
yeah.
fun.
Yep.
You have no idea how much fun this is.
Yep.
These people are thick-headed.
Yeah, so verse 5, God makes it clear. The staff belonging to the man I choose will sprout, and I will rid myself of the constant grumbling, so hopefully the Israelites will never, ever, ever do this again. So verse 8, the next day Moses entered the tent and saw that Aaron's staff, which represented the tribe of Levi, had not only sprouted, but had budded, blossomed, and produced almonds.
Wow.
So,
These staff
He had a little tree.
weren't placed in the Holy of Holies.
Aaron's was.
Afterwards, it was placed in front
Okay.
of,
Okay.
I think the ark.
Yes,
We'll
Aaron,
find-
but
we'll
Aaron,
find
that was
out.
Aaron.
Yeah, we'll find out in a second.
Yeah.
Let's see, what do we have here?
Why,
Oh, here we go. Verse 10. The Lord said to Moses, put Aaron's staff in front of the ark of the covenant law to be kept as a sign to the rebellious. So that was taken into the Holy of Holies then, once it sprouted, and once Moses showed to everybody, okay, God picked Aaron, so all the priests are gonna come from the Aaron family, and the Levites, we know where you stand.
why almonds, not
I don't know.
strawberries, peaches?
I don't know.
Well, strawberries don't grow on a tree, so it couldn't have been strawberries.
It's probably something that grew,
Could've
that
been
would grow in
dates.
the area,
Yeah.
probably. They wouldn't have something, you
No,
know.
no peaches and strawberries.
Or
in your
olives.
ears.
Nobody had olives growing on it.
No,
Yeah.
could've been dates.
Olive-
Wouldn't this have make a good part, a good movie and a graphic novel for the teenagers to understand? I mean, it's just like, poof.
Well,
This is better than Hollywood.
I'm gonna switch to almond milk.
Oh, it's just incredible.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to watch the Ten Commandments with a closer eye this year.
I think, no.
Wait, any hope for some group movies eventually, like Ten Commandments and different things?
I think we should watch it just so we can pick the inaccuracies.
Yeah.
in
Well,
the movie.
For Awana, we're doing the version of
Pilgrim's Progress.
Pilgrim's Progress. I just
Oh,
got
neat.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're gonna break it up into 3 or 4 sessions for them with questions, because we have them extra long.
Yeah, because they gave us another long day for school.
Each
The
month.
Teachers needed more time to plan. So we tried to figure out what to do, and Christy says, well, let's show them Pilgrim's Progress
Mm-hmm.
and work through it with them. You know, one of the study guides that they have out there. And it's a really good movie. So if you guys haven't seen it yet,
It's like a cartoon,
I
but an
recommend
adult
it.
cartoon. It's not
Yeah.
cutesy.
In the temple and also on the Ark of the Covenant, were anything also, I don't know, stamped in or built around like palm trees or,
we'd have to look back at the construction
okay.
and see what God told, because the only thing that comes to mind is on the seat of mercy, we had the two like
Cherubim.
Mhm.
then their wings were spread out over the seat of mercy.
And then nothing down below.
I can't remember the ornamentation.
Yeah, on the coverings, on the coverings there was design.
Yeah,
I don't remember what the design was though.
yeah. The only thing that comes to mind is what was on the high priest's robes and stuff, the pomegranates and everything else. So we'd have to look backwards and see. Okay. So God tells Moses to put Aaron's staff in front of the ark, and Moses did just as the Lord commanded. And of course, in verse 12, we see the Israelites moan again, we will die, we are lost, we are all lost. Anyone who even comes near the tabernacle of the Lord will die. We're all going to die. That's no surprise. God told them that when they first set up the camp. The Levites have to camp around the tabernacle, otherwise if you approach it, you're going to die. So I don't know why this came up. But
So his staff is out of commission now. It's,
They bring it out periodically.
okay, so he doesn't carry it around from day to day.
We'll see it, actually when, well, I won't go there. But it's gonna play predominantly in the next couple chapters, next week. All right, 18:1. The Lord said to Aaron, so this is where God gives the duties of the priests and Levites. The Lord said to Aaron, God speaks to, here in my footnote, God speaks to Aaron only 3 times in the Bible. And it's usually when God's giving Aaron specific instructions for how the priests should function. When God gives Moses instruction, it's usually for the whole community of Israelites. But when God speaks to Aaron, it's specific to how the priests are supposed to function. So this is why we get God talking to Aaron now. In Numbers 18:1, God makes Aaron and his family responsible for everything that happens in the sanctuary. Numbers chapter 18, verse 8 and 20, God tells Aaron about the tithe. And in Leviticus chapter 10, verses 8 through 9, this is when the Lord told Aaron that you and your sons are not to drink wine. So that's the 3 rules that God gave Aaron.
Except for when they get to the promised land, because you wouldn't think they would have too much wine out in the desert.
Those were one of the laws that were supposed to last forever because God wanted to make sure that the priests wouldn't ever do the things that Aaron's 2 sons did. Okay. That's why a lot of people think that they might have been drunk when they used the incense. So the Lord says to Aaron, you and your sons are responsible to perform all the duties of the tent. The Israelites must not go near the furnishings of the sanctuary or the altar, otherwise both they and you will die. So God's telling Aaron, this is serious work. If you let somebody come near the Holy of Holies, not only are they going to die, you're going to die also. So God's laying down the law to Aaron. You have responsibility for the sanctuary and the altar, so that my wrath will not fall on the Israelites again. And then we get into the tithe in chapter 18, verses 8 through 12. Verse 14, everything in Israel that is devoted to the Lord is yours. So God is saying, since you guys don't have any property, the tithe belongs to you guys. This is like your support.
You see a lot of God's anger, wrath in the Old Testament. Do you think there's that much in the New Testament?
No, I'm trying to think of any example. Probably the only example I can think of is Judas, but he suffered because he didn't repent.
Well,
God
but
was
also-
angry when he came into the temple and saw
Because Jesus
money
chased him
changers.
out that time,
Yeah.
yeah. And I think that's where some people have trouble with the God of the Old Testament and the God of the New Testament. So, well, no, they're both the same.
How do you, let's just say you're sharing with someone and they say the God of the Old Testament's a vengeful,
I've heard that.
resentful, angry God.
He's exasperated.
I can't believe in that sort of thing.
And the thing you say there is, well, every time God reacted, he was reacting to some sin that his people did that they were warned against of doing.
I think of God in the Old Testament as a new parent. And he learned by the Old Testament or New Testament, he was like, okay, been there, done that. We're going to try it this way.
Well, and we don't, it's one way of looking at it, but we don't want to go too far down that road because God knows everything from the
Right.
beginning of time to the end of time. He sees everything all at once, so he knows what's going to happen.
But why didn't he know that these people were going to do all the stuff they did?
Well,
He
and
did know.
he did. He did.
Yeah.
As an example.
Exactly. And we have to have these examples over and over again. And that's one reason why I feel confident in my faith is that if somebody were trying to sell us a program, then everybody that was in our Bible would be heroes, they would be the epitome of health and happiness and virtue, and they're not. They're examples of real people that mess up all the time, and the message that comes through the entire Bible from start to finish is God forgives us over and over and over and over again, except for the ones that choose not to follow God's guidance. The ones that choose not to follow God's guidance, they're punished, but they made that choice.
Look back at God's bloodline, it wasn't real pure.
No. I mean, you look at what Gary's referencing is Jesus' legacy. You've got Moabite women in there.
Oh, yeah, Ruth.
Well, they weren't supposed to be in the line.
Ruth was Moabite.
And you look at David and the things that he did.
Oh, mm-hmm.
So, Aaron Rodgers, who is the quarterback of my favorite football team, he totally messed up this week.
Yeah.
He said, I can't believe in a God who would send people to hell. God doesn't send people to hell. As I just said, people make the choice.
He's not even talking to his family because
Right,
he was brought up very religious and he can't understand it.
right. And I told Christy, I said,
I'm gonna
he
get rid of his
doesn't
jersey.
He
I'm
doesn't understand
done.
it because
I'm done.
nobody really explained it to him.
No.
Just put the numbers upside down.
12.
Another real sticking point you run into in people's beliefs is, I can't believe a loving God would send people to eternal hell and punishment.
But they had a choice.
They had a
Yeah.
choice. God doesn't.
He
God
gave
doesn't
us
send-
free will.
Free will.
Exactly.
Nasty free will.
God doesn't send anybody. People choose.
Well, and again, back into the New Testament where this started, was, we look at when the church was first getting set up, that there was, I don't remember their names, but the husband and wife,
Oh yeah.
that was killed
Right.
instantly.
Yeah.
Because of a lie to the Holy Spirit.
Yeah, Ananias and
Yeah.
can't
Yeah,
remember what her name was.
they had the choice of keeping some of the money, but instead of saying, well, we're only gonna give 90%, they said, we gave it all.
Right.
Right.
And it's absolutely correct. They could have sold everything they had and held back some. And said, okay, we held back some first off, but they didn't.
Well, speaking of that, in verse 25, the Levites were still expected to give a tithe,
Yeah. Yeah.
but Aaron's group wasn't.
Because that was their fee.
Well,
Yeah,
no,
no, the Levites had to give a
I
tithe also.
think Aaron did give a tithe, but I think that was directly to the Lord.
Yeah,